that right today. Now then, look at the freedom here for Parker. Tries to bend one, and he's done it too! It's a superlative goal from Keigan Parker, and Blackpool are 2-0 up and on their way to the championship.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel, Off The Underside. Hope we're all good. Tonight we've got another brilliant guest, ex-footballer. He is an ex-St Johnstone and Blackpool player amongst a list of other clubs. Mr. Keigan Parker, how you doing, pal?
Evening, guys. How we doing? Okay?
All good, mate, all good. Just when I was reading that there, man, honestly, it's like, see, whenever I announce a player coming on, there's always like somebody that will comment, but what about that? His time there, and it was no different with you, mate. You know, I put up St Johnstone and Blackpool, and people going, what about Oldham, what about Mansfield, what about Hutt? I'm like, you can't mention every single club a guy plays for, do you know what I mean? But I would say St Johnstone and Blackpool, your two most kind of successful periods.
More clubs than Jack Nicholson.
On this channel, Keigan, we like to go back to the very start, mate. We like to go back to your early days, mate. You grew up in Livingston.
Yeah.
What's your early memories of kicking a ball a bit?
It's a Bathgate. So I'm from a wee town called Bathgate, which is just near Livingston. So it's like a wee mining village, about half an hour from Edinburgh, 45 minutes from Glasgow. That's Susan Boyle's actually from there. She's for Blackburn, and Lewis Capaldi, the singer.
Capaldi, I was going to say that. He's for that.
I fancy myself a wee bit in the karaoke too, but I've got a couple of songs I can do, but that's about it.
Feel free, mate. On you go. You think of your Lewis Capaldi song now if you want to just start. On you go.
Well, I had a couple of beers in the fridge, but they got drunk last night, so I'm on the Iron Brew tonight, so there'll be no singing. So Bathgate, I grew up in Bathgate. I've got two brothers and a sister. All my family's up that way as well. And I've actually just moved. I was in Paisley for 7 years and Glasgow for a couple. I've just moved about 20 minutes from where I grew up now. I'm near Falkirk Ground. I'm in Grangemouth now. So it's a lot better family-wise now. So you've probably been on that Kingston Bridge. That's a nightmare with traffic at times, you know. So I'm living down Falkirk way now. Football-wise, I wasn't really massively into football when I was 11, 12. It's when I got 13-ish, then I started getting into it. My first team was Muirston. They were a decent team in the West Lothian area. Then I went on to Polbeth and I got scouted for Hutchison Vale. That's Kenny Dalglish and Alan McGregor, people like that played there. Who else? Graham Souness, he came through Hutchison Vale. They were a feeder club for Hibs as well. So I actually went into Hibs. I was in at Motherwell and then St Johnstone. I went up there. It was actually an old guy called Graham Rice who took me up. His son was a big news reporter for the News of the World a good few years ago. I'm not sure if he's still there, but I went up to St Johnstone when I've been 14. Used to go up Tuesday, I think it was Tuesday, Thursday. The old guy, Graham Bryce, he was the goalie coach. He took me up there and it just went for there really. Paul Sturrock was the manager briefly actually. He went on he left and when I went in he said, listen, if you stay here, because a few teams down south are interested. I went down to Leeds, West Brom, a few other teams, but basically Paul Sturrock says if you come in here there's a good chance you'll get into the first team early, and they were a team who were bringing through young boys. Kieran McInesby, he broke into the first team a few years before me, went on to have a decent career as well, and that's the way it kind of panned out actually. Sandy Clark got the job, and funny enough he lived in Bathgate. I used to travel up with him some days and clean his car and that, and I actually broke into the first team and I think it was in 2000, year 2000. I always remember it because it was the year we got to Europe. We finished behind Celtic and Rangers, so we broke Hibs and Hearts. We finished third, and there was 4 games to go and we had a lot of injuries. And I always remember I was cleaning the manager's car or the assistant manager's car, and one of the boys walked out and says, can get your mind and things, because just the big thing back then was Aggie. I don't know if you've heard of the old tea woman at St Johnstone.
I heard it.
She famously had I think it was Souness or somebody she had like a fight with. She basically told him to F off. And basically she made up the top with my name on it, and one of the boys came and said, "You can get your head together because I think you're on the bench tomorrow." And it turned out I got the last 20 minutes against Motherwell. I think you had Kevin Twaddle on, didn't you?
I had him on earlier on, mate.
I think he was actually in the Motherwell team that night. Like I say, 3 games to go. I got on, made my debut when I was 16. I think at the time I was one of the youngest players to play in the SPL. Obviously, I'll be back in 2000. So it was a great experience. And the next against season, I got into the first team. And I think when I was 18, I played about 35 games that season.
That was incredible for such a young age.
And looking back, I was actually, I was in November or October, I was, the old Sky Sports, used to have the scorers and stuff at the top right, and it changed leagues. Well, I was behind Larson. I think he was on 14, I was on 11 in October, and then I had a bit of a nightmare, missed a few penalties. I was actually on the penalties when I was 18 at St Johnstone. And I missed a couple, and I don't know, my confidence just went. I mean, Walter Smith came to watch me when Everton sold Francis Jeffers to Arsenal for 11 million. He came to watch me up at Keigan Parker. I remember I had a nightmare. I got hooked after about an hour. So
I remember it well, mate. You were very prolific in the early stages and that. But going back to like Hutchie Vale and that, we've had Ian Murray on who played for them and that as well. And there was a lot of kind of Hibs players there, like Derek Riordan and Gary O'Connor that I went through there as well. So how did you find there? Did you realise when you were playing there that there was a really good chance you were maybe going to go in and be professional?
It all happened that fast, man. I didn't even get a game when I was like 13-ish, 13-year-old. It's when I got 14, I used to go to the park with my dad and basically do extra training, and I just seemed to improve. I won most improved player at Muirston, and then was very, very quick player, and I worked on my pace, and it just took off from there, and going into St Johnstone, I was lucky. I lived with a family up there. I actually because you lived in digs, because it was that far away. So I got through it my first digs because I was hyperactive. It was an Irish couple, and I actually moved in with a guy, Stevie Stewart. Big shout out. He was like a second dad to me. He actually bought me my first car and all that. Quite a well-off guy for Perth. Owns a big plumbing business. I moved in with him because he was pally with Alistair Stevenson, the youth coach. And basically I moved in with him. He had like a sofa bed in his dining room, and he ended up building a room in his garage for me. So I'm actually still pally with him. I go up there now and again and have dinner and that. So he was really good, and I was lucky enough to break into the first team, like I say, when I was 16 and sign a good decent contract. I moved in myself when I was 18. Near Hart Hall Services. I had a house myself. Looking back, that's maybe one thing that I should maybe not have done, because I tend to, not so much when I was that age, but a bit older on, I lost a bit of, football wasn't like my number one priority. Looking back on things, it takes you this long to realise that if you were more focused back then, and football should have been like a way beyond your number one priority, if you know what I mean. But back when I got a bit older, it was gone out, and gambling was a problem when I was at one point as well, So, but it's amazing how your mind, you kind of can come to terms with it, and people say, "Oh, you should have done better. You were, you could have went on to do so much better," which is, you have to admit these things. But if you can kind of justify it in your mind and realise where you went wrong, it feels good, better, Kind of get at peace a bit more with it, especially when you retire, because you've got a lot of time to reflect on things.
Going back on your time in St Johnstone, what do you remember about breaking into the first team at such an early age, and who were the coaches or the background staff that really helped shape you early on?
Well, Sandy Clark was big for me because literally he gave me my debut. He came in, and then he gave me my debut, and like I said, I used to travel up with him. His son played with Rangers, Nicky Clark. Played with Dundee United and that. So he was massive, and Alistair Stevenson as well. But when I went into Blackpool, I a great experience going down there. That was something I wanted to do, get into the English game, and that was a good move. And like you touched on at the start, that was my best time in football. You know, Blackpool's the best club I go back to. I mean, I go down there and I get into the games, get my dinner and all that, go to speakers doing that, and it's really good going back to a club when they appreciate you like that, you know.
Definitely, I can imagine, mate. But your time in St Johnstone, mate, obviously when you were a youngster in that way, they tried, speak about this a wee bit. Obviously, I'm really interested to know what it was like. How were the mentors and that? Was there like obviously it's a lot changed now, where kids and that are, maybe some would say mollycoddled, you know what I mean? Whereas back in the day, mate, you would maybe get to clean boots and do the stuff running about the ground and that, and maybe some of the, the older players would be maybe a wee bit kind of tough love in that. Did you find any of that?
Aye. It was. We used to have to do the stands. But we had a big balloon away back then. We never had undersoil heating, so especially see when the games were up against Old Firm, we used to put this big balloon up. It could take about a day and a half. So actually, you're training. You wouldn't even train for a day and a half, and the main priority would be getting the balloon up over the park, and then you would train. But I mean, the older boys, like if you got too ahead of yourself, they would take you in the boot room and can put boot polish over you and that. But like you touched on, I think it has all changed now,
Not changed, but I mean that kind of stuff shouldn't die out. I mean, because different if somebody crosses the line in that, but that to me just sounds like it shapes people and gives them a bit of banter and realise that you can't take yourself too seriously. And also, you at a young age and you're scoring goals in Scotland at that that level and stuff. Would have been easy for you to kind of just lose your head a wee bit and get a bit arrogant and that. But so that kind of stuff I think helps.
Yeah, definitely. And again, looking back at you're young, so you're young and fearless. So again, it's when it takes off that fast, it's sometimes a wee bit hard not to get carried away and read the papers and but like I say, it's all a learning curve. I still went on to do decent things in football, and I mean, there's no point crying over spilt milk. I came back up to Scotland and I had some good years as well at Airdrie and Ayr United, and then went on to play the junior football. So I played until I was 36, 37, aye. So I've got other sports I play now, golf, easier on the limbs, and my latest one's pickleball. So it's, like the mini tennis.
Oh,
Like tennis, but on a shorter court with plastic bats. It's quite good, so that's the latest.
I've never heard of that, man. That sounds alright, but
pickleball. I see if you YouTube it, you'll see Andy Roddick playing Andre Agassi in like a charity match. It's quite good.
Aye, I'll definitely watch that.
Aye, definitely. But after 6 years in St Johnstone, just like you said, you got your big move to Blackpool. What was the transition like going from Scottish leagues to the English leagues? Did you notice a bigger difference in quality and obviously the standard and stuff like that?
Aye, they were a lot. I think they were a lot kind of more physical down south. Actually, see, my contract was running out at St Johnstone, but we were in the first division, and because I signed my contract at a time where there was a lot of money in Scottish football, they couldn't afford to offer me the same type of deal. So I actually went into Livingston, and they tried to sign me, but I had my heart on set going down to England to play. And funny enough, there's a kind of roundabout story because when I was into last year in my contract, my agent was Blair Morgan and Trevor Stephen. Remember the old Rangers player, Trevor Stephen?
Yep.
Played with Marseille and that. Basically, me and him went down to meet Brian Flynn, who was he was a manager at Swansea at the time. This is before Swansea were just actually about to think about building their new stadium, which is called what's it called, the Liberty Stadium now. They were trying to sign me, but they weren't offering good money, and my agent was like, "No, just stay where you are." And the reason I'm telling you this is, see, when I went down to Blackpool, Swansea was a team I used to score against all the time. And Roberto Martinez was the manager. He's now the Belgium manager. Now, they tried to sign me. I scored, if you get a minute, you'll see goals. I scored against Swansea, 2 outside the box, 30-yarders. And Graham Jones, he's now the coach at Newcastle United. They actually tried to sign me, and I met them illegally in the back of their Audi Q7 before a game against West Brom. And so Roberto Martinez, now the Belgium manager, he was phoning my house like nearly once a week. Keigan, we're trying to sign you, but Blackpool not playing ball. They're wanting ridiculous money. I was into the last year of my contract. I wasn't signing a new deal, and they were offered £500,000. But Blackpool, they had the Oystons were the owners at that point, and they just didn't make logical decisions. And I was like, listen, I'm not signing a new deal. He told me they offered me a new deal, and they offered me like £400 more than I was on. So I wasn't going to gear up being a free agent a year later. And as it turns out, so the season we got promoted at Wembley to the Championship, I was still playing games for the first few months of the season and fell out of favour. And then I got remember Barnsley beat like Liverpool and I think somebody else in the FA Cup years ago. They went in a run. Well, they tried to sign me. I remember it because I was going out with a dancer at the time. She worked in the West End in London, and Joseph. And I was in Birmingham for some reason visiting her doing a show. I got a phone call. This was like the 1st of January, but 2008. And my agent says, "Oh, can you go to Barnsley? Because they've had an offer of £250,000 accepted." Bearing in mind, I've only got four months left of my contract at this point, and Blackpool are still wanting 250 grand. Do you know what I mean? I'm not even playing. So I went to speak to them. I got out the car. And the manager's first thing he says was about Jade Goody, because I had a relationship with her, who was in Big Brother and stuff. And it was in The Sun and all that. And he says, "Oh, what about you and Jade Goody and that?" And I was like, "Oh, no, man. I'm not wanting to come here to play football if he's right on me about this right away." But as it turns out, the numbers never matched up anyway. But aye. And then I went down to speak with Kenny Jackett, the Millwall manager, as well, when his contract was running out. And I ended up signing with Huddersfield Town. Now, that was a really good club. They were still in League One, but they just got took over with a multi-millionaire. And the manager there signed me was Lee Clark. He's the ex-Newcastle legend. Went on to manage, I think, Kilmarnock as well, and Birmingham and stuff. His assistant manager was Terry McDermott, who was Kevin Keegan's assistant. Remember when Kevin Keegan done that rant years ago? I would love it. He's a Liverpool legend, Terry McDermott, and the joint assistant was a guy called Derek Forzackerley. He was Sven-Goran Eriksson's number 2 with England. Wow. And the fitness guy was a guy called something Black. I think it was Steve Black. He was actually the fitness coach for England rugby team when they won the World Cup. Remember Johnny Wilkinson? He was the fitness guy for that. He was into all this mad meditation and all that.
So. A few good name drops there. I like that. For Jade Goody, Kevin Keegan's assistant to the assistant. The physio
he was Terry McDermott. He used to. He was pals with Michael Owen. This is when Michael Owen was just retired. Remember, he had all the race horses. I think he's still got them. But he used to phone Terry McDermott with tips, and he gave us a few, and they were honking. There's another name drop, Michael Owen.
All these guys are doing the exact same stuff.
Definitely. But at your time in Blackpool, you've touched on it a wee bit, but you played in Wembley in the 2007 Wembley Play-Off, and the goal still talked about. A few people, absolute cracking goal. A few people on the comments saying you have to talk about that goal. And what was going through your head as you hit it? Were you confident, like this is going in, it's a guarantee, or were you shitting it a wee bit?
There's a bit of a story about it. I didn't even have my own boots on in that game. So I had these boots, right? So that season, I had off-field issues, and like I touched on, I wasn't quite focused and stuff. And that season, I scored 17 goals, right? And I only started like 26 games. I only really got a run of games at the last game of the last bit of the season. So we won 10 games in a row. We went for like 15th up to 4th in the league in the space of 2 months. And there's actually a DVD out in Blackpool, the football club. That's like a bit in their history, because they've never won 10 games since 1950s, Since like Stan Watkinson, what was that other guy called? Stanley Matthews, remember him?
Yeah.
They hadn't won 10 games in a row since 1950s. So and I think I scored 8 goals in 11 games. So, and we got into the playoffs. But I don't know if you've seen the game, but we played Oldham in the semi-final, and I always remember it was on Sky. It was away, and you get the highlights on YouTube. And if I'd scored in this game, I must have, no exaggeration, I ripped them apart at the back. But I didn't score. I missed like 5 really, really chances I should have scored at least 3. If I'd scored even 1 or 2 in that game, that'd probably been the best game of my career, I reckon. But it went for being the best to one of the worst with the goals I never scored. But cut a long story short, I scored in the second leg. I just stayed on side and I cut in for the left, a bit like the Wembley goal, and curled it right in the top corner. And I was on a yellow card. I went like that. I just remembered I was just about to take my top off, and I remembered I'd be off and I'd missed Wembley. So I went like, if you watch the highlights, you'll see me going like that. The big boy Sean Gregan was winding him up the whole way. He played in the Premier League a few years before with West Brom. I think he signed him for like $1.5 million or something, but he's a bit older by the time I played against him. I ripped him apart, and he kept talking, and you'll see me when I celebrate a goal, I'm like that. And funny enough, another bit of a story, 2 years later, I went to Huddersfield, never really worked out, and I ended up signing with Oldham. Who was the first person in the changing room when I walked into Oldham, do you think?
Can only imagine.
That guy, Sean Gregan, he turned out to be a lovely big guy, actually. So I had a year at Oldham. That was a good. I lived in Manchester. I went to some a guy. He was probably someone Kuza. He was a Man U like number 3 goalkeeper. He got his tickets for Old Trafford, so I went to a few games there. That was good.
Excellent. So, see, at Blackpool, obviously, you spent a good few years there. You know, we spoke about the football and that. What was the nightlife like, man, when you're always out and about?
Aye. Well, I got fined a good few weeks' wages, man. One of the best stories was I went. There's just I don't know if you've been to Blackpool. There used to be a nightclub called Syndicate. It had a revolving dance floor. So me and my mate Nicky Greco, we went in there one night and ended up steaming, man. And generally, nobody believes this story, but it's true. There's like a row of brothels, right? And we went in there, it was absolute tipping it down. I had chips and cheese and I was eating them. And we went into the brothel because our phones were going to die to try and get out the rain and phone a taxi. So I went in and the woman went, "You looking for business, sir?" I went, "No, you look like Myra Hindley." The woman's grabbed behind me and I threw my chips and cheese everywhere. So anyway, I've dropped my phone, right? And this fucking brothel's got a big massive front window and she's got my phone. So I booted the front window and it's all smashed and I bolted. There's no chance of her catching me even after 10 pints. So I bolted, right? And I've got down the road with my mate and I phoned my phone, right? And this guy's answered. He's went, "Aye, I've got your phone, mate. I was in the place as well. Come and meet me up there and I'll give you the phone back." I was like, "Yes." Anyway, we played Gillingham that day and I scored, I think, 1 or 2 and I got man of the match. Now, back then you used to get like a wee bottle of whiskey or a bottle of champagne, champagne. I got a bottle of whiskey in this like brown wooden box and I grabbed that, steaming. I thought, I'll go and give this guy, Good Samaritan, the bottle of whiskey for giving my phone back. It wasn't a guy, it was a police. I ended up in the cells, right? I got a night in the cells. I was up at Blackpool Magistrates Court. I got fined £600 odd. I had to pay the window because the window was about £400. So anyway, guess who got the bottle of whiskey? It was my lawyer, Hugh Pond. He ended up with a bottle of whiskey and I ended up with a bill for nearly £700. Drove by the place 3 months. 3 months later,
Scotland, can't you? That would go Scottish guy in Blackpool, man.
That
would go Scottish guy in Blackpool, innit?
I know, but aye. It was good. It was an experience. So answer your question, I was out probably a bit too much at the start.
We should have a good portion of the chips and cheese and all.
That's it, aye.
I think that made the papers and all that then, and everything was a big deal made about that one.
That was in the papers. I think a year maybe later, it was definite. I think it was maybe before. I went away to Mali, right? My mate, boy Tommy Wright, was about 8 of us went over there. 2 weeks. 3 or 4 nights into a 2-week holiday, right? And I fell in love with this. You know, when you get a wee crush on a bird on holiday, didn't you? So anyway, I've basically got chatting to this, one of these reps outside the bars who try and get you in. I've got out with her and gone back to her. So I went back to hers one night. She stays with another lassie and a guy. So the pal's got a boyfriend, they stay. I got up through the night, right? Steamboats, and ended up jumping into the wrong bed, didn't I? I jumped into the bed with a couple instead of the lassie. So anyway, I'm walking up the strip. I'm like, sorry at the time. Next again night, I'm walking up the strip and about 8 their reps they're running for me with bottles and all that. So I got the next flight home. And basically 2 days later, page 3, the Scottish Sun, they'd sold their story to Parker. Blackpool sex pest jumped into bed with us, and the bird and the guys like that looking. They've obviously been paid off a newspaper for their story.
Blackpool sex pest. Oh my God, man. That is the last thing you want to be known as, isn't it?
That's it. So aye.
No. That was a belter. You were part of the Blackpool squad, so they go back and that rose through the squads. Did you feel like the momentum was building, and what made that team so special?
Aye, well, we got promoted. The first couple of seasons I was at Blackpool, I was Colin Hendry's first signing in 2000. That was his first managerial role. In 2004, I think it was, I signed with him. And the team wasn't that great back then. But then we got new owners came in. Simon Grayson got a job. And it was that season we got promoted with no like amazing players, but see the group. It was just a really close group with a boy called Wes Houlihan who went on to get about 25 caps for Ireland.
He was good, man. He was a player.
He was good, man. Me and him used to go and play snooker for hours on end. Played with Mansfield as well, and I played with Rhys Day, who's Ryan Day's brother, the snooker player.
Yeah.
So another hobby was snooker. Aye, that was something you used to do as well.
Houlihan was class, but when he was dead, his close control and that. I'm actually surprised he never played at a higher level, actually.
Aye, well, he played in the Premier League for Norwich.
Aye, Norwich, last season, I think, wasn't it?
I played, I think he went on to be a Norwich legend. I think he played about 400 games for Norwich. He was a great wee player. Who else we played? Like I say, there was no real superstars, but I still go down to Blackpool. I was down playing a charity match about 5 months ago at Bloomfield Road. It was a Blackpool Legends against like people for Coronation Street and stuff. And it was about 3,500 at the game, so that was good. Got our dinner.
That night you end up saving on chips and cheese, not and.
No, I'm quite calm now. I go out and have 4 or 5 pints now and go up the road with a kebab and eat it instead of throwing the chips and cheese away.
Friday's no as fun, but
that's it, mate. You get too old for it, don't you?
I know, mate. I know. Tell me about it. I love Blackpool, but we go to Blackpool kind of at least once a year, man. It's getting kind of like a bad reputation these days. Obviously, it's a wee bit kind of. There's certain parts of it that's not as nice as it used to be in that, but it's still I love it, man. I think it's a great place. The piers and that. It's good for the wains, and I love it. When we go there, I always have a good few beers and enjoy myself. I go, you know what I mean? Go a wee pub crawl on Blackpool's class.
It's lovely. I don't know if you've been to Lytham St Anne's before, but it's a nice place to go. That's a wee bit more upmarket, but Blackpool's lovely. Like I was down there. I had a camper van, but I sold it. I used to go down in that and stop off in the lakes and that. It was good.
I love Blackpool since I was a wee guy. I was always same as you, Jamie. Like once a year, there was a religious type of thing.
It's like a nostalgia thing down to it when you go back, man. Because I was like same as you, Corey. When we were younger, man, I used to go all the time. But I love it with the wains and that. Now it's brilliant.
So you go to Celtic games then, or?
I don't go as much. Corey's got a season book, ain't he?
Aye, season ticket.
Right, nice.
Skinning me £700 a year.
I went to a game a few years ago, but it was on. That's when I lived in Paisley, but I was on a bus and it took us about an hour and 50 minutes to get to the car park. I was like, to watch Celtic hump Livy 3-0. I was like, no, again, I'll watch it on the TV.
Sometimes I think that as well.
Before we go into that question you're going to ask, since we're talking about Celtic and that, have you played there, I take it, a few times and that, and how was the atmosphere there?
There's a bit of a story there too. I went away to, I think I would have been 18 I was 18, and we remember Darren Jackson played with Scotland. He was in the Scot. He started against Brazil in France, 98. He came to St Johnstone. He was obviously 4-5-1 at Parkhead, isn't it? First game of the season. I'd been in Iron Apple for a very heavy couple of weeks. I was still trying to catch up.
Your stories start like
this. So I was in Iron Apple. I got back and I was on the bench, and the manager came to me 20 minutes before the game. He says, "Get your stuff on. You're up front yourself. Darren Jackson's ill." Moravchik scored a corner. I don't know if you remember that game against St Johnstone.
I was at the game, mate. I was at that one.
I started in that game. I got beat 6-0. I think I got about 5 touches of the ball. But I scored against Rangers when I was 18 at McDermott Park. Perini brought me down the box. Sergio Perini. And I had the graveyard shift a few times at Ibrox against Kanchelskis. I was playing left mid. He was playing right mid there.
What's the best atmosphere you think you've played in your whole career?
Obviously Wembley would be up there, but we played Tottenham in the Carling Cup in 2008. See the season we got promoted at Wembley. Remember I said I was in the team at the start of the season. Well, about September time-ish, we got drawn against Tottenham in the Carling Cup. They had Gareth Bale on the wing, Berbatov up front, Defoe, Keane. And I played in that game. That was at the old White Hart Lane, obviously. That was a bit like a double the size Tynecastle, it's like that type of ground. That was terrific. And when I was at Huddersfield, we played Arsenal in a pre-season game. That was a sellout at home. They had Walcott, Nasri, people like that playing.
I remember all these games, man. I remember all these games. Like, you were talking about White Hart Lane there. It's a shame that I understand, obviously, that they have to upgrade these stadiums and all that, but I miss grounds like White Hart Lane and, the old Upton Park and Highbury and all that, eh?
Aye, definitely. Like, I look at them down south, but it's funny. Some of the stadiums you didn't like, and I had stadiums I love going to. It's almost like you get a wee buzz, and you're going to have a good game. Like I touched on earlier, the Swansea, the Liberty Stadium there. That was a really good ground for me. Another good one as well. Remember Craig Levine went to Leicester years ago. Big Rab Douglas, he was at Leicester. I scored against Leicester at the Liberty Stadium a few times at the King Power. Aye. I scored at a few Premier League grounds. Bournemouth, I scored there, and obviously in the Premier League now. I scored 2 in 2 minutes at their ground a way back because they were in League One in 2006-ish. 2 goals in 2 minutes. One with my left foot, which was usually for standing on.
I was just going to say that you've touched on the amount of players that you have played against and played with, but who was the most toughest or the most talented that you played against?
Well, the most talented I played with was probably Wes Houlihan.
Right.
Definitely, toughest. Trying to think. But funny enough, a guy Michael Jackson. So, see when I scored that goal at Wembley, Michael Jackson was the centre half. That was his name, like the singer. He passed to Robbie Williams, right? Also the singer, and he passed to me, and it was time for me to entertain them. So Michael Jackson, he was a solid centre half. Like, he was good.
Aye, a bit old school.
Aye. Definitely. I played against, when I was at Oldham, because it was near Manchester, we played Man U in a friendly game. They had Vidic at the back. Namada Vidic, played against him. They beat us 6-0. And again, I think I touched the ball 7 times in that game. They had remember Anderson, the Brazilian centre mid.
Aye.
Dreadlocks.
He was playing as well. So it was a good experience. Well, obviously not so much for the game, but to play against these players, But it's amazing to see at the higher up games you play. Like, I never obviously played in the Premier League in England, but played against Tottenham and played against Arsenal. You get more time on the ball, Believe it or not. The lower you go down, the less time you get on the ball. It's more frantic, but the quality when you go up, you don't get. If you get back, you're not going to get it back,
Aye, we were talking to, was it Graham Murray we were talking about that, Corey?
Aye.
When you go up the level, it's actually you get more time, but obviously the standard is up as soon as somebody's got the ball, as you say, mate, you can't get it off them or whatever.
Aye, definitely.
Aye, he says he'll if you dilly-dally, they'll let you know you're not going to see that ball.
You'll get punished, you know what I mean, if you in the Premier League and that, whereas obviously. But aye, so you're obviously a Celtic fan, mate. Did you ever have the opportunity to go to Celtic or Rangers or anybody else up here?
No, well, Rangers, they were scouting me at one point, when I was at St Johnstone. Also, when I was at Blackburn, the German club Wolfsburg, they scouted me for a few games as well. That was in the newspaper, and one of my mates actually seen the scout up the, up the lounge. That'd have been a good one. I always fancied playing abroad. The closest I got to it was going over to Ireland to play. Played with Cork City. That was quite a good club. That was only for 4 or 5 months, but it was a good experience. But I think I never had the chance to go to Rangers or that. But
I think you actually went there.
I don't know. Money talks, but I've got another funny story.
Not enough money in the world for me.
I've got a funny story. When we got promoted at Wembley, I went to Marbella and again woke up rather tender, and that Trevor Stephen phoned me and says, "Can you come back tomorrow?" Blackpool, Nottingham Forest, they were still in League One, so we went up. They stayed down, but they were a massive club. Colin Calderwood, the old Scotland player, he was the manager. They were trying to sign me, but again, Blackpool were being unrealistic, so I was nearly having to fly home early for my holiday. But that's a move I'd like because they were getting 23,000 fans in League One. Nottingham
That's
Forest.
a bold move, but obviously if they went down the league and Blackpool went up, man, I mean.
But they were paying for, I knew if I got the move there, it'd have been 3.5, 4 grand a week, and I was on 15, 16 at Blackpool, so it'd have been a no-brainer, you know.
Big jump. Aye, get that. You spoke on a wee bit about your personal battles off the pitch, but how important do you think it is for players, even just people in general, to speak openly about mental health?
Aye, definitely. I think it wasn't so much a thing back in the day, but I think it's good now that I think speaking with folk, a lot of clubs are putting a lot of emphasis on it, which is good, you know.
Aye.
And I definitely think it's a good thing for players to get that help as well, you know, because it is a short career, and looking back, it's almost like you don't think it's going to end, you know.
Aye.
Was it ever an idea that you had, you know, obviously knowing it was a short career, to do your coaching badges and that?
I done a couple of them early doors. I actually done coaching last year with West Calder Juniors in the league through West Lothian. I enjoyed that. But no, it was, again, you're that thingy. Well, I was with other things off the park, you know. It wasn't something I looked at until I was in my 30s, you know.
I think you'd be good in the media, man. I should try and get into that.
Wee bit of commentating or something like that.
Are you Boydie Sutton? I watched that all day.
You just noisy too up, wouldn't you, man?
Big Boydie. I came through about the same time as Boydie, actually. Maybe a wee bit earlier than him when he was at Kilmarnock. I think he'd be about 5 years younger than me or so, maybe 2 years younger than me. But I bumped into him in Glasgow a few times. He's a good big guy, Boydie.
It seems like you've got a good laugh in that. He didn't take it too seriously in that.
It's good when you bump into folk, you know. I came through with Kenny Miller. I was quite pal with him. We came through the Scotland 21s, and Mark Burchell, wee Burchie, he's for Livingston. He was a good guy. His brother was a good player too, Stephen Burchell. He played
guys like yourself, Mark Burchell, and that. I mean, I'm really surprised that he's only more into the, you know, in coaching and that. You know what I mean? Or in the media more often. I mean, listen, see before, it was Stephen Dobby to go in touch with you, but I've not seen you in years, mate. You know what I mean? It's like you vanished after your career went.
Aye.
So.
It's definitely something I've done a few things down in Blackpool, speakers does and that. That was quite good actually. That was just before COVID. I was meant to do a couple more. Sadly, the guy, he was actually Roy Chubby Brown's manager, you know, the comedian.
Yeah.
This guy who was a compor, you know, he was asking me the questions. He passed away sadly about 1.5 years later. So it was a shame. My mate, he's the manager of a team called Squires Gate, so it's like a non-league team, you know, 4 or 5 leagues below the conference. And I played a few games with them as well. That was quite good as well. Getting a wee game, but I did like the coaching last season. I might get back into it, but maybe even quite fancy getting into the scouting or something like that, you know.
Definitely, man. There's loads of options, isn't there?
That's it.
I think scouting would be a cushy job. Just watching football for a living, saying he's shite, he's good. I signed him, signed that.
Maybe get my hanging into Rangers. Some of the players they've signed in the last few years, they must be looking for a new scout.
Get a secret agent job in there.
That's like, I mean, in this day and age, you've got a load of guys in football who haven't got any experience in the game whatsoever, and that's what kind of, you know, I feel it's a waste with guys like yourself and Mark Birchall aren't involved, because obviously you've played the game, you know how it goes, you know what it takes and all that. So I think you know what I mean, your experience and you're a very good player, and all that would be invaluable to clubs.
Aye, definitely. Aye, it'd be good.
Well, we're putting it out there, manifesting it.
Aye,
We're
everybody.
putting the scouting job out there.
You can't get a job, man.
Paul
Aye,
Daniels, my agent.
I was going to ask, seeing your career, was there anything you would maybe do differently? Like a transfer that didn't go through that you really wanted to go through or anything like that?
Aye, definitely that move to Swansea, that would have been a good one. In fact, that was, so the lassie I was dating at the time, she actually she was Welsh actually. She lived in Cambran, which was about 60, 70 miles from Swansea. I actually went there on a fake name to see the stadium when Blackpool were playing somebody away in Swansea. They were away. I went there under a fake name to get out, look round the stadium, and I was looking at properties and that, but then the move never happened because Blackpool wanted too much money, and Swansea. Then I actually got a groin injury. That's one thing that held me back as well in my career. To answer your questions, quite a big one actually. I got a double hernia when I was at Blackpool, and you're meant to do, like, you know, these rehab things and that, you know, with this. I'd never really done that, right, to be honest with you or myself. Looking back, I didn't really like that side of it, and I was obviously a very quick player. I felt that I lost a good yard and a half after that, and I actually got another thing called osteitis pubis, which is very similar. It's almost like you'd be playing fine for an hour in a game. It's almost like when somebody shot your groin. That was when I was at was it Black? That was, I actually had that when I went to Huddersfield. So I signed Stan Ternant. He signed me for Huddersfield. He famously brought a book out. He broke that David. Remember David May played with Man U?
Yeah.
In Blackburn. Well, that Stan Ternant punched him and broke his nose or stuck the head in him. He was my manager at Huddersfield, and he was mental. And basically, fucking, I was having a nightmare at Huddersfield. I was on like $3,000 a week. So again, I wasn't that focused. I was like playing, like, funny story actually. So away games, you'd go away, and if it was in London, you'd stay over. And I was dating that dancer at the time in London. So 9 times out of 10, you get Sunday off if you didn't get hammered on the Saturday, which we did that day. And I went on. So I was up. I used to play poker, right? I didn't play poker anymore, but I logged on to $100 rebuy tournament on Bet365, right? And there was 998 people in it, and I bought in twice. 11 hours later at 5:30 in the morning, I cashed out and I came fourth, and I got 13.5 grand, right? I was on the bench the next day against Millwall, right, at the Den. First game of the season. That was actually my first game for Huddersfield, believe it or not, right? My debut, I came on. And I wasn't really fit coming back for that groin injury, but I tried to impress a new team after about 5 hours sleep. I went on after 36 minutes, right wing, 3-0 down. I got subbed after 65, back off. And I booted the boys going up the tunnel. And I was meant to be staying down that night to see my missus. She was a dancer, and I'd pre-arranged it. Manager came in. You little effing fucker, you're staying nowhere the night. You're back up the road with us. We're in training tomorrow.
I thought you were going to say you came on and had a belter, man, because obviously 13.5 grand your back bin, and then you get up the road to see your dancer missus and all that. I think that'd have been you know what I mean? If you're happy and all that, usually football players play well, don't they?
That's it, man. Aye, so but that was a good night going into a bad day the next day, but again, an experience.
How did you deal with that side? Obviously, you're saying the manager tore into you there. Were you the kind of player who, if you weren't performing well, you would react better to a manager doing that to you, or would you kind of arm round your shoulder and that you'd perform better after that?
I preferred the kind of arm around your shoulder. That Stan Ternant wasn't really like that. He was old school, like, you know, like a Jim McLean type person. But again, it's looking back, it's because I wasn't focused enough as well. You know, I mean, realistically, I should have went to Huddersfield and got a head down and got fit again. But you know, I was cutting corners, I wasn't training right, I was at the casino. I'd think nothing to go to the casino and spending £1,200, you know, and getting an hour's sleep and going to train the next day, you know. Looking back on it, I wish I'd been more focused, maybe appreciated it more what the opportunity I had, you know.
But you're not the only one, mate. Everybody does that, you know what I mean? There's loads of players who, I mean, it's got to be the case of the fact that, you know, obviously you're training in the morning and that, and then you're leaving pretty early, aren't you, during the day and that, so you've got all this time in your hands and you've got money in your pocket, and especially at a young age.
That's it. You know, there's things off the park as well, which is no excuse, but I lost my wee mum as well in 2008, so I think, you know, looking back, I should have used that to drive me on rather than kind of maybe feeling sorry for myself and not training right, you know, and stuff like that. But like you say, I mean, it's all kind of a learning curve, isn't it?
Well, so mate, every day, even in life, you're learning, man. You know what I mean? It's like that's hindsight. That was how you dealt with it, mate, and that's how probably a million other people would deal with it as well. So I wouldn't be too hard on yourself and that kind of thing, mate. To be honest with you.
Nah, absolutely not. No.
No.
A lot of players said that they struggle with like their identity after retirement. Did you feel that way? Like after you retired, you like, what do I do now? Type of thing. Aye.
What am I now? What am I doing now?
I went into sales. Though I was in, I've had a few sales. I'm not working at the moment, but I was. I went into a few sales jobs after football, and that gave me a fresh kind of look on things, because sales is actually a wee bit like being a footballer, believe it or not, because it's you need that kind of mentality, you know. You need to be strong. You need to be strong-minded as well, you know, in sales. So that was that kind of took my mind off things and let me use my energy elsewhere. And like I say, I'm into other sports as well, you know. So I didn't never like the travelling part of the football, you know. So it's good to have more family time in that after it as well, you know. It's certainly I've become closer to my family after finishing playing football. That's one big plus I can take from that, you know.
Well, I know what you're saying, mate, but me and Corey are in sales, mate, and I don't know about you, Corey, but I've never felt like a football player in my whole life, man.
No.
What do you sell?
I mean, working a plumber's merchant, mate, it's pretty boring, but...
Right, nice. My brother, he done that. He worked with that plumb base for a bit.
Right.
Different company for us.
Aye, if you want a boiler on the cheap, he's a shout.
Wow. Boy, that looks all right. The sticker's still on it, so it must be all right.
Still
See,
taking
since we were talking about the arm around the shoulder thing and that, what did you make of Russell Martin's comments? Because I've been strong opinionated on this. You know, after the first game, he's came out and slaughtered these players. What did you think of that?
I don't. I kind
How
of
would you have
agree.
reacted to that, Jake?
I think he's maybe a wee bit too early doing that. Do you know what I mean? But see, to be honest with you, it worked because they got the result. They dropped some players.
That mob they were playing were awful, but do you see it?
Aye, definitely. Listen, I think there's a 50-50 to that one, eh? I mean, because the results worked his way, it looks good now, you know what I mean? He dropped Raskin, so that looks good, but if he didn't get the result, then he's going to get backlash, isn't he? But you know yourself, the fans are happy as long as Rangers are winning and if he's dropping for it, he's going to look like it's a good thing, isn't it? But without doubt, if they go on and play a better team, which they will, I think they will get found out a lot at the back, you know.
Definitely. I mean,
that team worked there, though, you know.
Oh, they were terrible. I mean, obviously, they did have great chances in that, but they couldn't take any. And then, obviously, Rangers, they look a bit better, though, with like Gisama and Ant-Man and the wings and that, but they're still, for me, they're still missing at the back, man. Suitor on that's a bit dodgy and stuff, so...
That's it. I mean, I think for a while there, I think where Rangers were going wrong, they were trying to, because they've not got the money to go and spend ready-made players who can impact, you know, i.e. you need to be spending your 7, 8, 9 million, don't you? When you're spending at 1.5, 2 million free, which they have, you're kind of buying players who are maybe still, you know, players who need to progress. They're not fully ready. To be fair, the two they've brought in, I think, look like the best have signed in the last certainly year or so. You know, the boys in the wing, because they've got that thing that you can't really buy, pace, you know.
Exactly, mate. Exactly. But I still think you went too early with the criticism. I mean, to do that, especially your captain. I mean, obviously you'll know Keigan playing in, in the dressing rooms and that. Your captain's a leader, isn't he? So it's like if Tavernier's not happy, that could like filter through the dressing room. I'd assume.
Aye, definitely. But I say, to be honest with you, I think that Tavernier's time is maybe done, I'm a wee bit surprised. I mean, don't get me wrong, I think the Rangers fans are harsh on him, but when you look at the numbers and stuff, he has been a great player for them, but something that Martin said actually made a lot of sense to me. See, when he was getting asked about dropping this or Tavernier, this and that, dropping him, he said, aye, but we're judging people on the now, not what they've done before. Which I think's a big thing. I think that's one thing he needs to do at Rangers, because I think that Steve Clark does it. That Steve Clark's got folk in the squad, and he almost runs it like a club team. He's got folk in there who aren't even in form, aren't even getting a game, you know what I mean? And he's still been loyal to them, i.e. Handley, i.e. that boy up front with the tattoos.
Right. We've said that before a few times that he needs to freshen it up, but he seems like a wee bit more of a dinosaur type thing when it comes to that sort of stuff.
It's almost like he makes decisions, to kind of get a reaction off the press and show that he's the boss type thing, rather than maybe giving people what they want, which would be the better option.
Aye.
But we did speak to Stephen Dobby about this, how he didn't get Scotland caps and that, and we did speak about how the international managers always do pick their favourites. Is that something that bugs you a wee bit? He didn't get a call up.
Aye, well, I played with Scotland under 21s. Back then, I've got one cap for Scotland under 21s. Aye, but again, I mean, without doubt, I think I had the ability to go on and maybe even get caps for Scotland when you see some players who did get caps. But again, that comes back to that's probably my wrongdoing and I never focused enough, If I just went that bit more kind of towards my training and staying in the zone and keeping that at the top of my, then without doubt, I could have maybe got that big move I never got,
That's the thing I'm talking about, like, as in for you to get back into football in some capacity. I mean, that knowledge there of you've been there, you've known it's a short career, you've got obviously maybe no regrets, but there's things you would possibly change, and you could install that in players and make them realise that there is a short career, and you could actually get the best out of them. That's what I think, anyway.
I think the biggest things it's appreciating, what you've got. Maybe back then I took it for granted a bit, and I never kind of knuckled down enough, to realise what I had, because I wasn't the finished article. I could have worked on my game, but I had the raw bits and pieces to my game, which could have took me to a higher level without doubt. But you're right, it's always good when I speak to young players as well, to kind of tell them to keep the head and don't get too carried away. That's one bit of advice I'd maybe give. Don't get too high with the highs and don't get too lows with the lows. I think that's what these top players who go on and get maybe 50, 60 caps or Kenny Millers and stuff, their mentality was a lot stronger than mine. That's why they went on to play so many games, make so many millions. I wouldn't say he was all that much a better player than me, but he went on to have so much a better career. It's the mentality is a massive thing, I went on to do quite a bit of some courses and stuff about the mind, I mean, your mind's more complex than any computer man has ever made. You know what I mean? And I was doing a lot of this mindset stuff a good few years ago. I've not been doing it so much now because I've kind of got it in the mind, but it's almost like, see is it possible if your mind can make you sick, is it possible that your mind can make you well, It's actually it's actually your thinking and your mind, that controls all your behaviours.
There's no doubt the mind and the body are connected. There's 100%.
Yeah.
You've seen the doctors and that have seen it and stuff, and as you say, it can make you sick in that, but also there's some of them swear by, if somebody focuses properly on it, they can get better, their body can get better, so 100%.
I read a thing as well. I watched a video, I stumbled along it across it on YouTube. Did you know fear and excitement is the exact same feeling? It's the exact same feeling. Yeah. So see if you ever get fearful, you tell your mind you're excited, or you get a trigger point, a happy moment in your life, and see fear. Fear will actually be excitement. It's the exact same feeling in your mind. All it is your body's telling your mind that you're fearful. But if you actually tell you're excited, it's the exact same feeling, fear and excitement.
Like butterflies in the stomach type of thing, but it's like different aspects to it. I get what you mean.
The fight or flight mode, isn't it? It's the exact same feeling.
Well, that just goes back to work again, Corey, in the morning when
I need to do
fearful.
So next time you've got
get excited.
Next time you're trying to sell an overpriced boiler, just keep it cool.
I was going to ask as well, just about your career a wee bit. See, because you was so much so soon, do you think maybe that's why you didn't focus as much? See, like, it was like 13, you started playing, then 16 you were at St Johnstone, then after just snowballed from there. Do you think that's why you didn't take a step back and maybe, like you said, appreciate it and do, wow, I've achieved so much so far type of thing?
Aye, definitely. Aye, definitely looking back at it, you know, I mean, I was 17, 18-year-old, and I was on £1,000 a week, you know. Way back there in 2000, that was a lot of money. Every young boy at St Johnstone used to get £500 an appearance. So even if you came off the bench for 10 minutes in the SPL, you got £500. £500. A lot of money, you know.
It's a lot. So early, isn't it?
So and I didn't come from a family that had a lot of money, you know, but it was a great upbringing. I had my mum and dad and stuff, but we didn't have money, you know. So I think maybe coming from very little to having that much money, you know, it's almost like you don't know. It's very easy to go down the wrong route, you know. And I mean, I did when I went down south, especially. I was gambling and stuff too much, you know, and that's one thing I can look myself in the mirror now. I have better relationships with my family and stuff now than I did way back then when I was earning thousands of pounds a week, you know, because I'm not selfish about life now, whereas back then you put your gambling and stuff before everything else, you know.
Aye.
So you said earlier, but you live and learn, don't you?
That's it, buddy.
Wanted to ask you a wee bit. I've got a couple of wee quiz questions and that for you, mate, to do with your career and that. But first of all, I wanted to ask you about Blackpool, the now. Obviously, Steve Bruce is the manager. You see you go down there quite a bit, and you're still very interested in the club and that. Obviously, Stephen, as I spoke about, your pal was a coach and that. What's your thoughts on the now? They had a bad kind of result at the weekend there, last weekend, so hopefully they'll get it back this weekend. But what do you think how do you think they'll fare going forward?
I'm going down to the Bolton game, I think, later on in the month. I'm close with the guy who runs all the hospitality down there, and they've just paid him 1.2 million for a boy for Nottingham Forest striker, who Plymouth were I think he was on loan at Wigan or something last season, scored 17, 18 goals. But I think they should be up there. The fans have given them a bit of stick. The chairman's a guy called something Sadler, multi-millionaire, but they've given him a bit of stick for not spending money, but he spent a lot of money. You know, they're paying big money, like compared to when I was there. I know there's folk there on 8, 9, 10 grand a week at Blackpool now. So, I mean, they should be up there now, you know.
Obviously, Steve Bruce is a good manager as well. He's got loads of experience.
Aye, definitely, mate. Listen, I think they've got a good chance, to be honest with you. But it is a hard league, that League One, you know. I don't think it's quite as strong as it was the last couple of years. The teams that have came down maybe aren't as strong as the teams who have came down before. You know, your Lutons, they've came down 2 years in a row. Plymouth, Cardiff as well. I don't think they're all that great either. So, listen, I don't know if you like a wee bet, but maybe worth a wee flutter, a wee 20 quid to finish in the top 3.
Hope so, man. Definitely. Right, mate.
Have you been to a game before at Blackpool?
A game? No, I've not been to a game. No.
You should let me know if you ever fancy going down it, and you've gone down. I don't know if you go down together or whatever. Let me know, because I can easily get you a couple of tickets there. I just phone the guy. Like, I've got a good relationship with him down there, and I just get your name on the door, and you'll get up and get a ticket for the game, eh?
Well, you go, Corey. That's
magic,
mate. We'll take you up on that, definitely, pal. Thanks very much.
No problem, pal.
So I wanted to ask you, mate, your 5-a-side team of players you played alongside, who would you pick? You're the coach.
Right, I'd go for Alan Mayer in goal. Oh, another story. Full of stories, mate. When I was at Blackpool, Joe Hart came on loan for 6 games when he was at Man City.
Oh, aye.
So he was on that game. Remember I told you I scored at Swansea the 2 goals. He was in goals that game. Joe Hart. But I'll just go for Alan Main. He was a really good goalkeeper at St Johnstone.
Aye, he was. I remember him.
Who at the back? How many at the back? 2 defenders or?
Your system, mate. Your system.
Yeah.
So is it a 5-a-side team, aye?
5-a-side, aye.
Aye, at the back I'll go for big Darren Dodge at the back. Remember him? He holds the record for the most own goals in the SPL. So me and Big Dodge, there was at one point there was like 7 of us going up for the Forth Road Bridge every day. So there was 2 cars. In the last year of our contract, there was only me and Darren Dodge. So I came up with a bright idea of going 300 quid each and going to the car auctions. He was like, right, Keigan. He talked funny. He was like, right, Keigan, I'll give you £300. You better not come back with a banger. So cut a long story short, coming back after about 3 days in this old BM and every light in the dash started flashing. He was like, what's happening here, Keigan? This thing's going to blow up. I was like, oh no. I ended up having to scrap it. So needless to say, I never went back and bought another one. I go for Darren Dodge at the back, and I'll go for a guy Peter Clark I played with at Blackpool and Huddersfield. He was good. Centre half. He came through the Everton academy.
Well, he was a defensive team here, 2 centre halves. 2
centre halves, and then I'll go just in front of him. I'll go with Mo Silla in midfield. Played with Celtic.
Yeah, he was a good player.
So I came through.
That's right. He played at St Johnstone, didn't he?
He went AWOL when he heard Celtic were interested in him and buggered off back to France. So basically, St Johnstone had a choice of selling him for 600-700 grand or not seeing him again. So I'll go for him in the midfield with Wes Hoolahan. And I'll go for who will I go for up front? I think I'll go with beat Paul Dickoff up front. Remember him? Beat Paul Dickoff. Played with him before. He was a good wee player. He was mad. Him spoke like a chimney. He used to have a fag at half time.
Class. When did 2 goals he scored at Wembley for Man City in the last couple of minutes?
Oh, aye. The old Wembley against
the old Wembley,
aye.
Yes, I heard their team, mate.
Sorry?
Some team.
Aye, not bad, eh?
Aye, mate. So one of the last questions I want to ask you, mate, is who's the 3 players you played alongside the most?
Played alongside the most? Try to think. Played at Blackpool.
I know where,
he played with Big Ian Eva at Blackpool for a good 4 years, Because I played so many teams, mate, I didn't really play with that many. I was a good part of my career. I was only with a team a year or 2.
Aye, there's a player who's like way ahead of everybody else. So you played alongside the top one 131 times, and then second was 77.
Right, was that at Blackpool?
Aye.
Was it John Murphy, no?
What's that?
John Murphy, no, at Blackpool?
John Murphy. No.
What was her name?
You want to know?
Aye.
Number 1 is Keith Southern.
Oh, Keith, aye, Nashers, aye. He's a good guy. He was actually playing in that charity match. He's a coach at Everton now, Coaches Everton under 17s or something, aye. Aye, Nashers. Who was second?
Sean Barker.
Big Sean, aye. He played at Wembley. He was a big gangly right back, but he didn't look the most orthodox, but nobody could get by him, he went on to play with Derby. He had a decent career, Big Sean.
I'm pissed off here because I should have checked this before, but see the third one is scrubbed out, man. It's a centre back though, and it was 75 times. But after him was Danny Coyd.
Oh, Coyd, aye.
And Darren Dodds is 5th, mate. 5th.
Big Darren Dodds, he was some pro big dodgy man, but he was a hatchet man, and he was a typical old saying, train as you play. He took it too far though.
He was a hard tackler. He would always say, I got the ball, and the boy's leg could be dangling.
Do you remember Nick Dazovic who played with St Johnstone? He was good.
Long hair.
He was Canadian, a Canadian international.
Yeah.
Aye.
He was good, man. Who's it? I'm only going to say 2 because the third one scrubbed out of this and all.
Right.
The 2 players you played against the most.
Played
And
against him.
that's actually mental amount of times you played. Oh no, hold on. Sorry.
Was that up in Scotland?
Hold on. You played against somebody. I can name the 3 actually that you played the most against.
Was it? Trying to think. Was it somebody maybe Hibs or Hearts? What about Stephen Keigan?
Stephen Keigan. No, he's not even on the list, mate.
Was there a lot of centre halves on it? I take it.
No. First one's an attacking midfielder. Second one's a goalkeeper. Third one's a goalkeeper.
Colin Cameron.
What's that?
Colin Cameron, is he on it? No, played with Hearts.
Cameron. No, mate. See, I knew this would be hard, man. That's a hard one.
Because you didn't really. I'm trying to think who was playing about that time,
I mean, think about it. It's only 11 times you played against these. That's the main one, the first one.
Right, but it'll be somebody like Dundee United or something like that.
Played for Dundee United, aye.
Thingy McCracken, no?
No. Attacking midfielder.
Grant Bremner.
No.
He's a clue.
Who did I give
Craig Easton.
That's the one, mate. He's
There
number
you
1.
go.
There you go. Second one, I'm sorry, I've not heard him before, but he's a goalkeeper. That might be down in England, this one.
What?
9 times you played against him. What's that?
Flahaven. Was it something Flahaven? No.
No.
What team did they play with?
Don't know, mate. I've not even heard him. Man.
If you say his name, I'll probably not know it either.
You'll know it. You'll know it. I'll just tell you.
Aye.
Joe Murphy.
Aye, Joe Murphy. He played with Scunthorpe.
I've not heard him.
He tried to strangle me. I dived in the box and I won a penalty and he went like that, grabbed my neck. Yeah.
And then the third one's a goalie as well, and you mentioned him earlier on.
Alan Main.
No.
Down south.
Here and down south.
A goalkeeper.
Aye. You mentioned you scored against them down south, and obviously you played against them up here as well. You would have done.
Who did they play with?
Up here it was Dundee and Celtic.
Oh, Rob Douglas.
That's the one.
I scored. Remember the goals I sent you, the overhead kick.
Aye. I'm going to put that in the clip out at the start of this actually.
Right. Aye. That was that was a good night. So basically, that was the last game of the season against Dundee. And they had a thing back then called the Iron Brew Award, so it was for the SPFL, so every league outside the Premier League. Mm-hmm. And they'd already picked their goal this season, but then that basically got put up for it and won it. So that was a night in Glasgow, Candle Rigs.
Aye.
So they still send me Iron Brew, the now, Oh my God. Imagine that.
Lifetime sponsorship there, free Iron Brew.
So that was a good experience playing down at here. Big Brian Reid was the manager. Remember he played with Gaza and that at Rangers. Big centre half.
Brian Reid.
Brian Reid.
I know him.
He played with the Rangers back when they had a decent team. The mid-90s. Loud drop Gaza and stuff like that.
That was some team, that one, man. But we had a good team that year, that period and all. But just obviously. Beat Rangers, Van Hooijdonk, Cadete, Andy Tom and that.
Rangers were playing funny. I played against Rangers when Torre Andre Flo was there as well.
Aye. How
Aye.
was he as a player?
That was a bit. Aye, just a big gang. I couldn't believe it when they spent like 11 million or however.
To be fair, like he gets people don't really realise, but he scored a lot of goals for Rangers.
I think I done it one drunken night. My mate were doing stats. I think he scored about 40 odd goals for Rangers.
Aye, definitely.
Aye, something like
There's nothing about that, man.
And I
that. Big
come.
money in it.
What do you make of that, Ida?
Well, what's your opinion, mate? Because your opinion is obviously going to be better than theirs. We'll tell yours in a second, but
See,
as a
see the thing
striker,
is, I know he done all right near the end. This first time he came on loan, but I don't think he done well enough to like justify spending 9 million or 11 million, whatever it was, on him. You know what I mean? I mean, I didn't really see enough for him to be spending that money. But and then obviously he's been really quite poor. I mean, I know he scored like 18, 19 goals last season, but I don't think he's the answer for what I've seen. Certainly in the last kind of 10 games.
It doesn't look like it, mate, but I think at the time, obviously, when Celtic signed him, Kyogo, when Kyogo left, Brendan Rodgers says that Kyogo said for a long time he wanted to go. So I'm assuming at that point, Celtic had an idea Kyogo wasn't going to be there for much longer. So, and they obviously went, well, we had this guy on loan last season, he done all right, he scored in a cup final, scored a couple of goals, vital goals against Motherwell when he came on one game and that. And Brendan Rodgers obviously just went, let's just go with that, you know what I mean? And I think it's, see if you're spending that amount of money on somebody, even though Kyogo was there, surely you would want that person should already been cemented in the team. And, like Jota, when Jota was here the first time and, we had to spend the money on him because he was that good and that. It wasn't the same with Ida, wasn't it?
No, definitely no. But that's the thing. I think that's maybe stopping Celtic from going. I don't think the board will give him another 8 or 9 million to go and spend on somebody like that. I think they're trying to go back to the old route of spending 2 or 3 or 4 and hoping they do well and then they're worth 10 or 11,
Aye, that's what I've been saying. I think they don't want to give him any more money, unless he either commits to a new contract or kind of walks. But like you said, it looks like it's going down that route. Just 2 or 3 million, hope for the best, and it's not going to work.
I still think they're a good bit. I wouldn't say a mass, not as far ahead of Rangers as they were, And obviously the fact of the matter, Rangers couldn't beat Celtic for years there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even games they should have won, like when Celtic played poor, Celtic were still getting a win, weren't they?
Aye.
And then obviously I think there was a couple of draws where Rangers maybe should have nicked it as well. But I think the big thing now, they have beat Barry Ferguson. He was my manager at Clyde. He done all right in the big games, but it was the other games that the mindset they couldn't get right, I mean, it's easy to get up for big games. Rangers look like slipping up away to your Ross Counties, and obviously the Motherwell's a prime example last week,
Well, to be fair to Russell Martin did say that, during his tyrant of, saying about the players and that, he did say that we need to get them up for all the games, not just games in Europe and that.
And you know yourself, I mean, Celtic, I know they were the better team against St Mirren by far, but with Celtic, you just feel they've got that wee goal in them, even when they're not playing that great,
Yeah.
They've got it must be a mentality thing, The players, like I touched on earlier on, without sounding all too much into like this mindset thing, I think it is big on these top players who have won the title and they know they've won it. It gives them that wee 5 or 10%.
Aye, like you mentioned Kenny Miller, the amount of leagues and all that he won, and like you said about the mentality is something different, isn't it?
Oh, aye, definitely. Aye, but I still think Celtic will win the league. I think it'll be a bit tighter this season, maybe 6 or 7 points.
I think so.
Hopefully.
I think St Johnstone will go straight back up and on for the championship.
Aye,
they're a good manager.
They're playing Ross County tonight on BBC.
Oh, we better let you go soon then, man. I'm sure you'll be waiting to watch that one.
I watch my old team. I go up there now and again as well. Like, that's always good as well. A wee trip up there. I'll maybe try and get down to Ayr as well because they've got that new stand now as well.
Aye.
We'll get a chat with wee Brownie in it.
A wee chat with wee Brownie, aye.
Right, mate, I'll let you go, man, because your time has been amazing. Thanks very much for your time, Keigan. You're really a legend. It was hilarious. You you're very, very down to earth, mate, for a guy who had an amazing career and that. So thanks very much for your time. Thanks for coming on, mate.
No worries, guys. Listen, I appreciate it. And like I say, keep my number, give me a wee message a wee couple of weeks in advance, and I can get you sorted for a wee ticket in the Blackpool.
Sorted, mate. Well, 100% you'll be getting a text off me. So
Can
thank you, mate.
See a few recommendations, but I'll leave that brothel.
Well, we'll talk about that. Right?
Cheers, guys.
See you later. Who's drinking that then, mate? He was class, wasn't he?
Aye, he was amazing, man. He was amazing. What a laugh he was. What a
I know,
laugh.
man. Stories were brilliant, man.
Aye, stories, humour, just down to earth as well. And I'm glad that he's kind of got his head sorted a wee bit after all the troubles that he said. That's class to hear.
Aye, I mean, obviously, he did speak about that, like the stuff over the park and that. And but honestly, mate, like I can just imagine a million other football players being like that, especially back in the day. Now it's obviously different because they're all sports scientists and all that stuff. But Keigan wasn't the only one out and about, mate, having a party and drinking and playing the next day and all that.
No, absolutely not. But that story in the brothel was probably one of the best stories we've had on this.
That was funny, man.
That's
Those
up
are
there.
funny stories, weren't they? It was class.
Aye. It was nearly everything. They've like you mentioned somebody, funny story. The funny story. And he was always abroad and all. Always abroad.
I know, man. All right, so I was in Napa for 2 weeks, or I was
Aye.
here, I was there. Fair play to him, but I'd have been the exact same.
Aye, what a guy. But
Right,
you know,
mate. How lucky are we? But how lucky are we every night getting to talk to all these guys? You know,
I know.
you know, Keigan tonight was just brilliant. Like the other night, Graham Ricks, man, brilliant football stories, brilliant guy. You know, just every single person we've had, man, has just been brilliant.
Aye, only a couple of months ago they hadn't spoke to anybody, and now, like you said, there's like hundreds. Like was it 20 odd guests or something we've had on now? Over 20 guests.
20, I think Keigan was 27, mate.
27 guests now. I mean, it's a good bit of luck that we've had when it comes to the guests.
Definitely, mate, and they've all been very nice to come on and that and tell their story and that. But I would like to get more kind of. Obviously, love talking to football players and pundits and that, but I'd like to get people like, you know, other musicians, you know, entertainers and that on to speak about football and stuff. I'm not going to give up on that. I think we've had Grant Stott on, we've had Sean Connor on, who are actors and radio DJs and that. But I would like to get more guys like that on. Would you think?
Aye, definitely. More the merrier.
Obviously, like everybody loves football. Well, most people love football and that. So to come on and speak about their career, about being actors or singers or whatever. We've not had a singer on yet.
No, yeah.
Singer or whatever, and yeah.
I like a singer. Give us a wee rendition at the end.
Aye, that would be good, man. I have spoke to a few people, you know, actors and that, but a lot of them are like, you know, I'm not really into football and stuff. Spoke to a radio DJ the other day, and he was very, very kind, but he said, listen, I'm the last person that should be on a football podcast. So, aye, but we'll get there, mate. Obviously, we'll have got some other guests coming up. We're speaking to Scott Fraser this weekend. I know that you're not going to make that one, Corey, but it'll be me and Davey. At the moment, anyway, we'll you know, don't know, we could change there, but we'll definitely be speaking to Scott Fraser. And then next week, I've got one to announce. See, what do you think? Do you think I should announce once it's done, or do you think I should announce beforehand in case anybody backs out?
I would say once it's confirmed, right there.
Aye, but we thought one was confirmed the other week, didn't we? And then it didn't even tits up.
Ah, well, aye, true.
That's what I mean. Do you think I should record? Do you think I should announce it once it's done? Or
aye, actually recorded, maybe. Aye. Then after it's like
either that, or either that. I mean, it didn't really make a big deal. I just deleted the posts.
Nah. Whatever you find easy.
Once there's a time and date confirmed, then I'm just going to announce.
Aye, do it that way. See that?
Like, I've now announced one that I shouldn't have announced because he was like, aye, and then we didn't arrange a time and date, so that was a wee lesson learned.
Life lessons, like the podcast. That's life lessons.
But there is one definitely announced for next week. Well, confirmed for next week, so I'll probably I'll just announce that soon, man. Okay.
Aye. I know. Okay.
And then we'll be doing our own podcast now, mate, because the football season has now started. So
absolutely.
Plenty to talk about, my man. Plenty. Celtic are playing Aberdeen this weekend, and you know, Rangers are playing Dundee on Saturday. What's that?
Aye, I'm just agreeing with Rangers Dundee.
Rangers Dundee, St Mirren Motherwell and that. If you want to go and check out me talking about these fixtures this weekend, then type in Pitch and Patter into Spotify, and done an interview there with Kyle, his name is, a lovely guy, very, very good presenter, and we spoke about all this weekend's fixtures, so go and check that out. Corey boy, it's been another pleasure, mate. Thank you for joining me in this amazing journey.
Always, mate. Always.
See you later on, everybody.
Catch.
Bye bye.